It just drives me absolutely batty.
KFAN is my favorite station.
Yes! No!
Double doink.
Good stuff.
9 to noon.
Like that!
I know, right?
There are many, many positives I can get out of this game.
The game is over.
Personal foul. Clipping.
Just listen. Just listen.
Here they come. It's the 9 to noon radio show, and good morning. It's Paul Allen. A tough night last night for the winter pro sports teams. T-Wolves lose in a tight one to the Golden State Warriors. It's a Steph Curry thing. And on the other side of town, the Minnesota Wild dropped one to the Edmonton Oilers in what was a very entertaining game. And who knew with Connor McDavid? Maybe hardcore hockey fans knew, but yours truly didn't. McDavid chips in with goals and assists, had a 3-point night last night. But who knew Connor McDavid was a cheap shot artist? I had no idea. I mean, he elbowed Marcus Johansson in the face. Down goes the man they called JoJo. Back to the locker room goes the man they called JoJo. And John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, was quite frustrated after the game involving that very topic when pressed via questions by Russo Radio. And the head coach, John Hynes, joins 9 to noon today at about 9:35 before they take to the road to take on the Nashville Predators and a matinee Monday against the Colorado Avalanche. Hard-fought loss for the Minnesota Wild last night, which is antithetical to the loss the Minnesota Vikings took on Monday. That, I guess, to a certain extent, was a hard-fought loss. And 9 to noon continues to analyze the what was, what is, and what will be with the what's next plan for your Minnesota Vikings. But in annual fashion, to put things to bed to a certain extent, ladies and gentlemen, we present Skol Stories for Kids.
9 to noon presents Skol Stories for Kids.
Yay, indeed, Vikings fans. I wish I didn't have to do this at this time of January, but it's an annual occurrence indeed. So let's begin. Skol Stories for Kids. What a story I have for you this morning, boys and girls. The annual adventure of Vikings fandom, excitement as it unfurls. Mostly exhilarating, though at times it became absurd. If the 14 wins were a punch bowl, well, the last two, they were the turd. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, so let's begin here. Let's go back to September. The outcome of the season then was so much less clear. Vegas said we'd win fewer than 7 games. The unknowns, so many. Well, we knew one thing, that we would turn Danny Dimes into a penny.
And here comes Daniel Jones, 12 of 22 for 111 yards. Vikes lead 21-6. Jones, he threw it to Van Ginkel. Touchdown! That's the 4th touchdown in Andrew Van Ginkel's career. And he read Daniel Jones like a book, and that book had a happy ending. 27-6, Minnesota.
At the time, it was just a win over an awful squad, it would seem. But months later, Daniel Jones somehow ends up on our team? We upset the Niners the next week. Now that is an intention getter. Here's a Jefferson touchdown to remind you of when the hope and vibes were better.
2nd and 9 for the Vikings from their own 3. Darnold under center. Play action to Jones. Back to pass. Bosa picked up. Deep shot. Jefferson. Yes! Caught at the 50. Heads left to the 40. Cuts back to the 25. Heads to the right. He's trying to outrun
What a huge win that was over a juggernaut Super Bowl contender. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's postcards from Germany, they were being stamped return to sender. The Niners imploded with injuries like a haymaker to the mouth. Meanwhile, we got to beat those Texans if we're going to sweep the vaunted AFC South.
Diggs, slot left. Dell, inside slot left. Collins outside of them on second down. Stroud facing a blitz. Flips it right. Caught Cam Akers. Touchdown, Houston Texans. An 8-yard touchdown pass from C.J. Stroud to Cam Akers. And that is Akers' first touchdown for the Texans. Fourth this year thrown by C.J. Stroud. And it's 21-6 Minnesota.
Hey, Cam Akers, he scored for them. He'd become a Viking later on, too, oddly enough. And he was the more explosive back for us the final couple games when times for Aaron Jones got rough. Darnold was sacked 4 times, but we didn't care because we won the day. Kind of like Naylor muffing a punt at Lambeau. If you still win, what do you got to say?
Jalen Naylor back to return the punt after Brandon Powell got shaken up. Naylor retreats, calls for a fair catch, and he muffed it. And this is going to be a Green Bay Packers.
It's not a touchdown.
Yeah, you can't advance it, so they're at the 3 first and goal.
Oh, man.
I mean, Naylor was moonwalking, tried to catch it above his helmet, might have been looking up into the sun. My man.
Hey, we thought we'd be 1-3. So as a fan base, we're filled with jubilant glee. The offense is good. The retread QB has had some sort of epiphany. Off to London town. Now it's A-Raj and the Jets. If you believe that team was going to be a disaster, well, I hope you're cashing those bets.
The Jets, 5 of 16 on third down. Rodgers back to pass, fade right. And intercepted. Did Gilmore pick it off? Come on. The Vikings. Yes! Vikings ball. I believe it was Stephon Gilmore, but he's being mugged by his teammates. And why wouldn't he? The Minnesota Vikings are going to improve to 5-0. Stephon Gilmore, with his first interception wearing the colors, has sent the Vikings into the bye week with an interception of Aaron Rodgers and what will be their 5th consecutive victory. Well done, young man.
Now, PA wanted Stephon ejected from that Colts game 2 seasons in the past, but they've shared an elevator together now. How long did that awkward silence last? Undefeated, bye-week chill, it's Lions week, and we're all abuzz. And then immediately left in awe by everything Ben Johnson's offense does.
Great eye, handoff Gibbs, gets room to the right side, cuts it up to the 40 outside the number. Oh, he shakes on a Viking at the 30 and he's gone. 46-yard touchdown, and it was a masterpiece by Jahmyr Gibbs. That's the longest run of his career, and it's 10-6. Minnesota.
Cam Bynum stuck in cement by Gibbs. Khalif Raymond making our guys trip. But no big deal, guys. We hung close with the kiddies. Just get a grip. I mean, we'll get another shot at them week 18, so we'll make them pay. But for now, it's a short week, and we got to deal with McVay.
7-0 Minnesota. Stafford back to pass. Throws to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. It's a touchdown for the L.A. Rams, and it's Kyren Williams with his 2nd receiving touchdown this year. He has 10 touchdowns on the season, and that score means Kyren Williams has scored in 10 consecutive games, which ties a Rams record held by running back Greg Bell from the late 80s at 7-6.
It's still nutty that Flores said Puka's sudden return had him a bit fooled. The teacher-student situation with KO was in session, and sadly, he was getting schooled. Just 5 bad days, Vikings fans. No worries. If you overreact, frankly, you're a wacko. Plus, Jamie Erdahl and the Gallerhorn, and we all cheered up by beating Joe Flacco.
3 receivers left, 1 out to the right. Taylor to the right of Flacco. Vikings rush 4. Flacco throwing left. Intercepted Byron Murphy Jr. And Flacco threw it right to him. That's an interception for the Minnesota Vikings, leading 14-7. And Bogo Ball has been activated.
That short stint of misery would shrink in the rear view mirror. The elixir being the Colts, Jags, and Titans, it would certainly appear. We did it! Sweeping an awful division. And we're no worse for the wear. No need for the highlights, though. I mean, let's just jump ahead to the Bears.
22 seconds to go in the game. Onside try, Cairo Santos. He's going to kick it with his right foot. It's a dribbler. It bounces off a Viking and recovered by the Bears. Now let's see if they got requisite yardage.
Let's see if
Well,
they
it
got
depends on who it touched first.
It, I believe, hit a Viking first.
Are you serious?
The right leg of a Viking, I believe.
I don't want to be a jerk here, but we needed more from you, Johnny Munt. That was somewhere between missing a 2-foot putt or striking out on a bunt. The win streak extended to 4 thanks to Parker Romo's foot, and then to 5 thanks to Kyler Murray's long-range shot put.
3 receivers left, 1 right. 4th and 10 for Kyler Murray facing a 5-man rush. Kyler back to pass, throws right, intercepted. Jack Griffin has won the game, and it's a high five for the Minnesota Vikings. They've won 5 consecutive games. The final score, 23-22, Minnesota.
5 sacks on Darnold that day, but no worries, my friends. It's another dub. Even though we did have to rely on a mostly inevitable but not entirely guaranteed Murray flub, on to Kirk O'Chains, the old, matching up with the ginger-hued new. And Sammy slung it better than ever. All 5 touchdowns he threw.
3 receivers right. Sam Darnold out of the shotgun. Jones picks up a blitzer. Pass right. Caught Addison to the end zone. Touchdown! Jordan Addison makes it 34-21. And for Sam Darnold, that's a high five. For the first time in his career, he's thrown 5 touchdown passes in a game. And for Jordan Addison, that's the first 3-touchdown game of his career.
11-2 in mid-December? How the heck did that happen? This fan base is on fire. We're all standing, clapping, and dapping. Slaughter the Bears in primetime. Someone whispers, have we played anyone good? Does it count if we broke a losing streak in Seattle's neighborhood?
1st and 10 from the Seattle 39. 3:58 to go. Seattle leads by 4 in the 4th quarter. Sam steps up. Sam throws left. Caught. Jefferson. Touchdown! Sam, the man on the fan, finds the moneymaker Justin Jefferson. And the Vikings have taken a 26-24 lead.
All right, that's certainly something. Handling business at Lumen. But next up, it's the Packers. It's our version of Seinfeld's Newman. Josh Jacobs, the freight train. Nice weapon for the whiny LaFleur. But it was Addison on this particular menu. In fact, it was the soup du jour.
1st and 10 from the Green Bay 18. The Vikings are chewing on the clock here in the 3rd quarter. Play action. And Sam throws to the right. Throws to Addison. Caught. Touchdown! Jordan Addison with his 9th receiving touchdown this year. The Vikings have a 19-3 lead.
Everything is in place, Vikings fans. Destiny in our own hands. Postseason secured, but kind of hoping to make bye-week plans. All the momentum in our favor. I could feel it right down to the bone. To beat the Lions, we frankly, be good in the red zone.
4th and goal from the 2 for the Vikings. Darnold shotgun. Addison in short motion to the right. Snap. Lions blitz. Anzalone picked up. Darnold, great time. He's going to run out to the right. Eyes into the end zone. Throws. Incomplete. No flags. And the Lions stop the Vikings inside the red zone again. The Vikings continue to bleed in the red area. They're 0-4 for touchdowns.
Multiple open receivers were there. The throws were so awful, he missed them. Sam's first taste of playoff-like football. Sure hope he got it out of his system, because the dance starts now and we need our squad at its best. Neutral field, Rams take 2, and, well, you know the rest.
4 receivers. Darnold steps away from pressure for a second, but then he is sacked. Darnold back to pass. The pocket is claustrophobic, and he's sacked. Steps up in the pocket. He's holding it too long.
Just run.
Throw it, man. Bounces around in the pocket, and he's sacked for a 6th time. The Rams have hit the pick 6 with sack. Sam bouncing around, looking, holding the ball, and getting destroyed again. Back to pass, and he's taken down for an 8th time. 8 sacks on Sam Darnold.
You know, he could have thrown that football easily, but decided not to, right? And took another sack.
Well, that's nice.
So that's
He's been sacked 9 times.
9 for today. I mean, that's an epic number.
And like that, it was over. Spoiling great memories that were made. That one got all the hair as they ripped off the Band-Aid. A depressing way in which we conclude this particular story, but gotta be honest, this is also kind of familiar territory. Yes, The head coach will get his contract extension. Yes, we'll lose a bunch of players in free agency. Too many to mention. Evergreen offensive line talkers as if we needed another reason. But hey, at least we won 14 games in the regular season.
That was another Skol Story for Kids.
That's good work. That's good work by the mad producer of 9 to Noon. And interestingly, it triggered a thought here in that two of the teams in the best division in the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings and Green Bay Packers, they combined for 25 victories. So you just, you move forward with life and move forward with time, and then you look back at 2024, and perhaps you will see the 1 seed, the division champion Detroit Lions, as victorious in Super Bowl 4-9. They make that 5-9. Their mission was Mardi Gras, and maybe they'll come through with a party with the Lombardi. But you'll look back and you'll be like, damn, look at that division. Holy cow. You had a Minnesota Vikings team with 14 victories. You had a Green Bay Packers team with 11 victories, 25 combined wins between those two teams. And strangely, as we navigate our way to the offseason, two teams with 25 combined wins have big questions to be answered in the offseason.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you think it would be smooth sailing sans moderate chop. But here, I mean, people to a certain extent, not yours truly, but people to a certain extent are a little wound up over the immediacy of the head coach Kevin O'Connell's contract extension into his final year, which is 2025. And with the Green Bay Packers, to a man, to a human being, they absolutely have to be concerned, would be strong, perhaps not too strong, but perhaps too strong. But they have to have wonderment over exactly what they have in their quarterback.
Oh my gosh.
You know, the one on the player-friendly deal?
Oh my gosh.
You know, the player-friendly deal that generally prohibits teams from, like, fortifying the village?
Oh my gosh.
But but now you come back to the Minnesota Vikings and the Minnesota Moving Company and the land of 10,000 questions when it comes to fortifying the Minnesota Moving Company and an offensive line. I mean, the head coach tagged it hard after the LA Rams game, discussing the interior of the Minnesota Vikings offensive line. And can't exactly remember what he said. Didn't say change is coming, but didn't say change wasn't coming. But he was pretty poignant with this commentary involving guard, center, guard when you go the other way.
Well, I think the paraphrasing, I mean, not completely forthcoming, but in the vein of saying something like, we need to get stronger there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say that's almost as blunt as you could possibly get without just daggering individuals. That the interior of the offensive line, the alluding to, well, Sam's getting hit too much. We've heard that a little bit the last couple of weeks, too. That the head coach, maybe he didn't physically say change, but he sure left us thinking about it.
And then I emceed an event last night in Stillwater, and I met a very kind Green Bay Packers fan named Riley. So I'm chatting with Riley about his favorite squad, and my man sounded like absolutely an elite football mind. I mean, he was getting position flexibility. He was talking about the new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, and how things took a minute, but then they came together nicely, and there's positivity there. But what my man and other Green Bay Packers fans are thinking and or saying about their center, Josh Myers, quite honestly, is not sufficient for work, and also an assassination that should be illegal in 48 states.
And there is your dagger!
25 combined wins between those teams.
Yeah.
And big questions to be answered into the 2025 offseason. It's just crazy. And good morning.
Good morning. It's historically, it feels like in context, and I'm sure someone can hit me, well, in this year, this division had more total wins or whatnot.
Yeah.
This feels like, from a record standpoint, and the Bears maybe holding some of this down, one of the most successful divisions in the regular season in NFL history.
Right.
You got a 14-win team on Week 18 battling it out. That was the fanfare that led the Florios and the TV broadcast to Detroit for that division finale on Sunday night before the postseason began. The winner and what was at stake as part of that conversation and as part of that game that the Vikings sadly were not up to snuff for. But it's so impressive what this division did. But then now you have two of those three teams we're talking about, PA, getting waxed on Wild Card Weekend and both looking up at the division champ as they host the 1 seed. They host the path to the Super Bowl, at least as of now, the Detroit Lions, and all the changes that might be in play for not just the green and gold, but the purple and gold. And I had some audio from yesterday that I'd like to share with you from several players, and we can work our way through this, but each of these kind of has a question attached to it. And I do want to start. You want to talk about change, what we're thinking about quarterbacks and all of that. What about this guy, Cam Bynum?
This is one of the toughest days of the year. And I'd say this and the last day of training camp when cut day happens, just knowing that the same team isn't going to be together again, no matter how many people stay or go. It'll look different in the future, and this year is special. So that's really what we're all thinking about, just how grateful we are for what happened this season, just with everything, the ups, the downs, just the fun and the joy we're able to have. But just going through today, just knowing that you're going to see your brothers for the last time, it's tough for sure.
Tough for you and a lot of guys who, just the nature of the business, there are some uncertainties going into this offseason. Is it tough that now, as soon as you walk out of here, that kind of becomes what it's about, at least for the short term?
Yeah, I mean, it's emotional just knowing that I don't know what's going to happen, and it's all in God's hands, and I trust that I'll be exactly where I need to be. But really just enjoying these last moments with your teammates as you're packing up your lockers and just making sure that you say hi and talk to everybody before you go, just because for anybody, you don't know when their last time with the Vikings will be or whatever. But right now I'm just focused on just appreciating my teammates and just loving the guys around me, just because you never know how much time you have, and that's just a lesson in life you got to live with. And I'm just grateful for the time that we had here, and excited to see what happens in the future. And then I love it here though, for sure, more than anything.
So Cam Bynum, he's part of a long list of upcoming free agents for the Minnesota Vikings, and the importance that he played on the field as a playmaking safety, his versatility working within Flores' scheme, and that's just on the field stuff when you think about how he's really put himself in a big spot as a leader and a motivator in that locker room. But PA, he's going to be a free agent, and it's not necessarily just about, what's our secondary going to look like in totality. We know Metellus is going to be back for at least one more year. It's Willie Woney with Harrison Smith. We've gone through this. But what I'm curious about, how much does Flores staying or going potentially influence or impact decisions by guys like Cam Bynum? Tremendous success in this system. And Flores ultimately, if he still has his eyes on being a head coach again, I believe he does, then he's got to do that. Absolutely. But is there a ripple effect at all with Brian Flores leaving that could influence the decisions of guys like Cam Bynum and whether they'll make a deal happen here or potentially peek over the fence elsewhere?
My answer would be yes, but as the percentageometer would go, it would be on the low side of yes, specifically those heading into their second contracts, like Cam Bynum. These second contracts are super key, given the longevity of National Football League players is about 3.9 years. So therefore, with that second one, that's where it's negotiated in a way where you get it so that you can set yourself and set your family up for a little while because you've worked hard for that opportunity. So I believe it definitely mentally and to a certain extent and a smaller percentage would factor in decision-wise. But like for Cam Bynum, when free agency opens or when they're at the combine and the agents and the representatives are cheating and they're having the oxymoron known as the whatever it's called, the
legal tampering period.
Thank you. The oxymoron known as the legal tampering time. That's where the rubber's going to meet the road. And if you look at what the Minnesota Vikings, if interested, would offer Cam Bynum compared to, well, you know what, I can, over the totality of the deal, I can get about $1.7, $2.4 million over 3 years before taxes. And then it depends on what state, and is it a state income tax free state? All of that is what people are starting to think about now. But when it comes to, well, B-Flow's here because he didn't get a head coaching job, and I know my role inside and out, I would prefer to come here and then maybe sign a deal for a year less, and then in that third contract, try to outperform the second contract and get myself paid then. Now, right after that bite by that you played with Cam Bynum, young Cameron, just a sweetheart of a human being, he was asked about some of the angles he took against Jahmyr Gibbs, the jitterbug for the Detroit Lions during the course of those 2 games this year. And they didn't exactly work the way of 24. His response was jarring.
And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Another player that I wanted to ask you about in this opening segment here is, and this will jump actually into, I think, a Kevin and Kwesi related conversation we might have later in the show. Of course, they're speaking to the media today. You're going to get to hear that during the Grum live. Mm-hmm. And Kwesi, and there's contract extensions in the mix as part of this as the offseason unfolds. But here is rookie Dallas Turner, moving day, cleaning out his locker, looking back on his rookie season.
The rookie year was definitely met some goals for sure. Learned a lot of knowledge. I definitely say that. I feel like I learned a lot of knowledge that, just by the people I was around, the veteran players I was around, the veteran coaches too, and just like, all the football knowledge and wisdom that we have in the building. I feel like a lot of people don't experience. A lot of people are saying that, they don't get the opportunity to like year 5, year 6, So, I was just grateful, to have the opportunity to be around these players, as a rookie. Just kind of just embrace that type of knowledge that they poured into me as a rookie, and just being an open book, and just being open to being, coachable, to being coachable by my veteran older peers, and and just being a sponge overall and just soaking the ball of knowledge.
It's tough sometimes because there's an emotional element to getting beaten the way that the Vikings did in the wild card over the Rams. It's natural to be expected. So you lose to the Rams the way you did. Jared Verse has the impact that he has in that game. Looked pretty quick en route to that fumble touchdown that he had. And people started comparing, well, hey, you guys traded up for Dallas Turner. You take him at 17. Who was selected 2 picks later? Well, it was Jared Verse. So I'm curious, and there's many things to dig into here.
No, yeah, that's a nice call right there. I didn't remember that.
Jared Verse played most of the season. I don't have his entire snap count in front of me here. I can just grab that in 20 seconds here. I do know that Dallas Turner played just over 300 snaps. So about less than a third of defensive snaps in 2024. So how do we compare that, however? I compare the lack of playing time, then combine that with the fact that Jared Verse is almost 3 years older than Dallas Turner.
Right.
And then also, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and trusting that Flores saw something in Dallas Turner that maybe not today, but next year, 21-year-old becomes 22-year-old. If you remember 2015 into 2016, the significant physical jump that a 21, now 22-year-old Daniil Hunter made.
Yeah.
Remember how he looked like a completely different human?
Yeah.
Down in Mankato, and then you saw kind of the run that he had, at least when he was healthy. It's tough for me to truly judge. He gets the 3 sacks. He made some nice tackles in the backfield at times, and he was effective in moments, but he didn't have the rookie campaign that you're rooting for a 17th overall pick to have. Mm-hmm. So the combination of the low snaps, people are judging him against Jared Verse, and then I think they're also judging him. I think Lewis Scene's hanging over his head, PA, if that makes sense. I think that selection in 2022, you don't get what you want out of that. And now this, I think there's a lot of uphill fighting from a perception standpoint with Dallas Turner.
Yeah, it's paradoxical with Dallas Turner for me because it has tentacles all over the place that are tentacles I believe are just. In that you have to play to gain the experience to become better. So there's the paradox. However, if you're not playing, that's paradoxical in that you're not playing because you either haven't earned the right to play or the ones in front of you are playing so well, they're denying your opportunity to play. So and then you go to the baseline logic of what the expectations are for players selected in the first round. And players selected in the first round, most of the time, I'd say 79% of the time, and I'd make it about 91.5% of the time when you're taken in the top half-ish, around, say 17, 15 or below.
Yeah.
You're supposed to play.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to play more than he played. If you believe the steam on Dallas Turner after they met with him at the Combine and then after they drafted him, was that he got up there on that whiteboard and they're spitting things out and he's passing the test in lickety-split fashion. So therefore, here's what it is. Where does it go? Here's where it goes. What happens here? Here's where this has happened. What happens here with this spot?
Yep.
Bam, 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 bam. I mean, he's just nailing it. So then you get into the season and he can't find the field. All right, something happened. So then Dallas says that he gained a lot of knowledge this year. And finally, a very fair point, is that you can be a 19, 20, and young 21-year-old superstar at the amateur level. But when you hook these Havensteins or these Panay Sewells or these veterans who know how to play the game, and it takes them all of 3 seconds of film watching to find two things you don't do well, and then they put you on those things for the totality of the game, it's tough for the youngins to get around that. Yeah. But then they grow, and then they mature, and they become smarter with their approach to games overall. That means film watching, practice, lifestyle, and execution in the game. And that comes with maturity of a man. So the team may not say it, and I'm not speaking for the team, but I will. It's not better is expected from Dallas Turner next year. Dramatically better is expected from a reliability standpoint.
So that wraps up as we go to break here. We do want to get to the TimberTech set list. I believe Minnesota Wild coach John Hynes is around the corner, is he not? And
he's followed by Ben Lieber, the sideline analyst for the Minnesota Vikings radio network. Mick Tocchet makes his return to the mix today at about 11:03. And as the producer said, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, and head coach Kevin O'Connell have a season-closing press conference today. That will take place during the first hour of Dan Cole, the Common Man's program, here at FM 100.3, KFAN, your cash thing leader.
The Fan wants to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword Bills. You might win $1,000 with the keyword Bills. Just enter that in at KFAN.com.
It's time to drop the puck.
John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, joins 9 to noon weekly, and here he is. Coach Hynes, it's Paul Allen. Apologies for that brief delay, and sorry about the loss last night. Let's begin here. It was a hard-fought loss to Edmonton, clearly one of the better in the NHL. Boldy's playmaking, very, very solid right now. Not that it hasn't been the majority of the season, and I would imagine that is super key given the guys you were down, right?
Yeah. It's obviously important. I think anytime for a guy like Bulge to be making plays and being a real impact on our team, because he plays, we count on him to play big minutes and play against other teams' top lines and drive offense, but not just drive offense, play in a lot of important situations and times in the game for us. So, and like you said, last night he was going last night. That's for sure.
His spin to find Rossi on the second power play goal was sweet, man. And you guys put a ton of practice time into the power play the last few days, right? And if so, did you see the results of the work last night?
Yeah, we put some time into it, and last night was more indicative of the power play that we want I think we always want to have, but we're going to need coming into the second half of the season here and down the stretch, one that's, it's possession based, it's threatening, it has multiple looks, it spends time in the offensive zone. It's a shot first mentality. I think when you look at the power play last night, it wasn't pass around the outside. Guys were in attack mode. And that's the style and type of power play that makes us deadly with the personnel we have.
Ryan Hartman. Hartman has some significant jump these days, in my estimation. When he plays like this, what are some things he does you just have to win games down guys?
Well, exactly what you said, PA. The first word out of your mouth was jump.
Right.
He's moving his feet. He's playing quicker. He's a willing skater. I think he's making better decisions with the puck. He's fighting the panic a little bit. He's got more poise with the puck. So when he's has an opportunity to make a play, he's making the right play. Again, similar back to Boldy, Hartsey now has much more of a shot first mentality. He's not looking for plays. He's looking to use a shot, which is one of his greatest strengths. But I think when you combine those three elements consistently, then he's able to play the game that gives him the best chance to be an impact player every night for us.
Fighting the panic is something I've never heard. It's a terrific turn of phrase. It's probably age-old in hockey. But what does it mean? Does it mean like the quick twitch decision that's a 50-50, and when you're fighting the panic, it generally goes the wrong way?
Yeah, I think, a lot of times is you fight the panic just when you're under pressure. We know that we want to have good structure. Everybody has to get to their spots. You got to be able to make plays under pressure. Right? You can't panic and just throw the puck away. You can't just, it's a contact sport. There's going to be situations when you're in contact situations. You got to be focused. You got to be able to execute and not just, it really comes down to your puck decisions and puck play.
Right.
Is that when you're under pressure, that's when we need to make the best decisions.
Kaprizov, Faber, and Spurgeon set to return here pretty soon, right?
Yes, I think all at different times. But, they're all progressing the right way. I can't say they're all going to be in the next game or two, but they are progressing towards that, but they're all on kind of slightly different timelines. And to be honest, it kind of changes a little bit every day. So I don't have a for sure answer for it.
Right. Yeah. I'm not looking, for you to share company secrets or like dagger a date, but Kaprizov, Faber, put Brodin into that mix. That's the tough part mentally, I would imagine, for a coach, because you guys, in my estimation, mostly played well enough to win last night. You can look at it like, all right, well, those three are game changers and we're down 5, but you still didn't get the money. Yeah, so that's like an internal battle between, that was good, but this bugs me, right?
Yeah, it certainly does, because I think it's a situation where moral victories don't matter at the end of the day. But in saying that, I think that how you play the games does matter. Right. Because if you're playing games that are going to give you a best chance to win, more often than not, you are going to win. And I was really disappointed for our team because, we had a 1-1. We were 1-1 with Edmonton going into that game. Yes, we were down 5 players, but we played the game we needed to play to be able to win. In my opinion, I think when you look at the different stats, I think McDavid turned to play. He was the best player in the world that made a difference in the game. And I think their goaltender played fantastic. That was the difference in the game. So to me, now we got to get that same style and mindset regardless of who's in our lineup against Nashville. And to me, that's the challenge, is to keep that where it needs to be while we're going through this situation to win games.
And John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild, they head to the road Saturday for Nashville, and he joins 9 to noon weekly, and here he is. With what you just said, the game of inches aspect, cliche as it may be, I've just learned over the years that hockey is the puck luck game of inches more so than all the pro sports, in my opinion. And I thought that was evident last night with like 13 and 12 minutes to go in the game. I mean, you guys were all over Edmonton, and there were, so let's say, some grade A-, grade B+ chances. And just in the game of inches, you didn't close on them. And then, during the course of the game, you get a deflection off one of your players to score a goal for them. the whole that's hockey puck luck thing is something with which you have to deal, right?
Yeah, it's real. It's real. I think when you look at even the goal that McDavid scored, Bolds just misses a point blank shot in the slot for us, and then I think a couple of guys whack at the puck. It's a really difficult puck for Johnny Merrill to handle. It takes a weird bounce, right? That it wasn't like he made a mistake. It just took a weird bounce because of the play.
Yep.
And then, it took a weird bounce on the best player in the world stick, right? And then we come down on a 2-on-1, and Middleton plays a 2-on-1 perfectly. He goes long body, takes away the backside, and McDavid winds up making a great play. That's a little bit of what last night was. And, but that's the game. We got to work through it, and, we got to make sure we're ready for Nashville now.
Well, speaking of Connor, I mean, now Johansson goes down, and McDavid is one of one special, as you've repeated and said several times. But has he been known as a cheap shot artist before last night? I mean, he just elbow popped Marcus in the face, and now your guy is out.
Yeah, I don't think McDavid's not known as a cheap shot artist or things like that. Now, if you're asking me, did I like the situation last night? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But there's not a track record of him being a dirty player, which I respect. But if you're talking about what happened last night to Marcus, no, I didn't like that at all.
Well, was there anything earlier in the game where he felt like, hey, you know what, you got me here and nobody saw it, and I'm just going to get you back here with my elbow? I mean, did that lead to it, or did you just go out of body and decide to be dirty?
No, I don't believe there was anything, I mean, Marcus Johansson is one of the cleanest players in the league.
Right.
He's a good competitor, but he's not a dirty player by any means. So I don't know why it happened, but I don't like that it did.
Did the officials not have a clean look at it? It was anything but in tight quarters.
Yeah. No, they didn't. To be honest with you, I don't know what sometimes the explanations they don't make any sense. And
right.
I kind of made a pact to myself that, when I get answers like that, I just got to move on from it.
Oh, geez.
It just doesn't make any sense of what the explanation was, that's all.
Well, you have to do that as a head coach, right? I mean, some things have to be elevator music, because if you're sitting there stewing over something and the players recognize the leader's troubled by something, well, then the whole thing can just become discombobulated, right?
Exactly. You're right on.
Let me ask you this about officials. Do they get reprimanded when they miss stuff like that and guys end up not just leaving a game, but maybe missing time?
I don't really know the ins and outs. You do ask those questions. I do believe that they get reviewed, after games, and I'm sure that situation will get reviewed with their supervisors and, what it will be as far as the reprimanding and what they do. I don't know that. I don't know what would happen in that certain situation. But my understanding is I don't know if they, similar to, like, let's say a player that gets suspended for hurting one of your players, he gets suspended for 3 games and your player's out for a month. It doesn't equal the crime doesn't equal the consequence sometimes.
Right. All right, man. At Nashville and a matinee Monday at Colorado. Tear it up and talk to you next week, and to see you at TRIA for Box in the Box. Thank you very much, Coach.
All right, PA. Take care, man. Thanks.
Yep, see you. Coach John Hynes. He leads the Minnesota Wild with a hard-fought loss last night to Edmonton. And Connor McDazzle, just standing there, and there's beloved JoJo, and bam, elbow right to the face. The Wild player goes down, leaves the game, and could be out for a little bit. What a world. We'll be right back. Yo. This is 9 to noon. Have a good podcasting idea for you. If you're like me and perchance you missed Tom Pelissero, beloved.com Tom from NFL Network with the Power Trip Morning Show today. Sources tell yours truly that there was some poignant and pointed conversation between our boys and Tom Pelissero, one of the most reliable reporters of all of the reporters in the National Football League, involving Kevin O'Connell's future, and also a prediction involving Sam Darnold. So KFAN.com, do as yours truly will do later, and I will podcast that and listen back to it in totality. But Tom is one of those cats where when he lays things out, it's about a 99.2 that it's going to go that way. And I'll be curious to hear him elaborate on what he had to say about, as Chris Hawkey told me, the producer of the Power Trip Morning Show, that Tom feels Sam Darnold will be back with the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, he used the term most logical, I believe, in terms of Sam and his potential return here.
Right. I'm on the other side of that. But we all have rights to change opinions as the steam begins to percolate and we get to the combine and we start thinking these things out and everything. And Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the leaders of the Minnesota Vikings, coach and general manager, press conference today in the first hour of Dan Cole, the Common Man's program. And the learned scribes here in the Twin Cities market undoubtedly will ask about Darnold. And the expectation is that the constituents representing the purple and gold will not offer conclusive answers and will instead will deflect.
Yes.
And that's I would do the same thing, too, if I did not have to share information. I'm not completely certain about the A to Z answer with certain questions, and even if I am, if you don't have to share at a certain time, then they generally don't share.
One thing, not to clomp on you, which I'm clomping on you, but to talk about what Pelissero was saying with the morning show, it's not just this. It's not the Sam Darnold thing, which was good. Also, I thought he did a terrific breakdown, really, in totality of what truly lies ahead with even Kevin O'Connell's contract extension.
Right.
And just the link together, of course, between he and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, which you'll hear from both, as you mentioned, during Common Man's program. So in terms of the money, how that stacks up, where he potentially sees himself in the hierarchy of coaches in the NFL, which would then inherently mean you're seeing yourself potentially in that financial hierarchy, and how that conversation needs to take place and how quickly it will. Pelissero was awesome this morning, just really laying that out smoothly, plainly, for the rest of us as we start to await dominoes falling into the offseason.
Don't know what Packers coach Matt LaFleur makes. It's not my business to know what he makes, but I do know Kevin O'Connell is 4-2 against him. And perhaps the baseline is, that guy over there who throws tantrums and runs out on the field and gets 15-yard penalties. I need more than him.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
And from a league-wide perspective, and I'm scouring the internet now and going through some Twitter-related websites or Twitter-related submissions, let's just say, when it comes to Detroit Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. And the thing here is in an aggregator world where there actually are people who profit sitting back, listening and or watching others and regurgitating what they say. What a world. But there are a lot of sites, and when I say a lot, I mean more than a handful, that are indicating, and it's baffling to me, but really at this stage of my National Football League run, nothing should be baffling, but that there's significant momentum for Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson to become the next Las Vegas Raiders coach.
Oh my gosh. Above average at that.
If the ancillary pieces are accurate, I can't even imagine how many zeros are on that check. And I can't even imagine how much of an influence one of the minority owners of the Las Vegas Raiders, a Captain Cool named Tom Brady, must have in identifying things with said offensive coordinator and like banging the hand down on the Formica with the Davis family being like, it's got to be him. Whatever he wants, pay him. I mean, whatever it is, however long it is, give it to him. Because this team's starting to percolate a little bit. Now, I don't, unless I missed it, I don't have any Shefty or .com Tom or Rappaport on it. But we're still looking. Ben Johnson, Las Vegas Raiders. Holy cow. We'll see if that transpires. Ben Lieber, next, 9 to